Welcome to our channel, Mythology Matters. Thousands of years ago, ancient civilization told the stories of terrifying creatures that lurked in the shadows. Being so dark, mysterious, that history tried to erase them. These weren't just monsters meant to scare children. They represented humanity's deepest fears of the unknown, death, and chaos. From shape-shifting predators to corpse-possessing spirits, forgotten mythologies hide some of the most chilling creatures ever imagined. But what if these legends hold more truth than we think? Tonight, we uncover the truth about the dark creatures in forgotten mythologies and the secrets behind their terrifying stories. But before we begin, thank you for watching and don't forget to subscribe and more incredible stories. Let us dive in chapter 1. Chapter 1, The Creature's History Tried to Forget. Humanity has always been fascinated by stories, tales of heroes, gods, and civilizations larger than life. Yet for every shining myth of divine truth, there exists a shadowy counterpart. Stories of creatures so dark, so terrifying, that history tried to erase them. These are not monsters of fairy tales, nor the fanciful dragons of children's stories. These are the beings haunted the imagination of entire civilizations, the creatures that existed in the liminal between life and death, order and chaos, the unknown and known. From the icy reaches of Scotland to the dense jungles of Southeast Asia, from deserts of Africa to the sacred rivers of India, ancient people told stories of beings that defied understanding. They were spirits, demons, hybrids, and shapeshifters. They were feared, revered, and sometimes worshipped. Unlike gods, whose powers were celebrated and whose actions justified in morality tales, these creatures embodied the part of life humans could not control: death, disease, disaster, and madness. In the earliest humanity societies, these dark creatures were not mere stories. They were a lens through which people interacted and inexplicable. A sudden disease, the mysterious disappearance of a child, or failed harvest could be blamed on the being that lived in the shadows. Some were born nature's wrath, like storms and floods, given monstrous form. Others were moral lessons, warning humans of consequences of greed, pride, or betrayal. Take, for instance, the forests and marshes of northern Europe. Many myths tell of beings who would prey upon travelers who wandered too far from the safety of their villages. These creatures were often hybrids, of humans and animals. Grotesque yet strangely intelligent. Villagers believed that crossing certain rivers, entering forbidden woods, or disturbing sacred sites could summon them. And while modern audiences might dismiss these tales as superstition, these beliefs shaped social behavior, law, and even survival strategies. Fear of these creatures was practical, much it was supernatural. In Southeast Asia, ancient oral traditions preserved trails of creatures that could blend seamlessly into human society, only revealing their monstrous forms at night. The Swang of the Philippines, for example, is one such being, a shapeshifter, feared not because of brute strength alone, but because of cunning and deception. Stories warned villagers to remain vigilant, to protect vulnerable and respect boundaries, both physical and spiritual. Here, the creature's darkness was a reflection of human vulnerability. What cannot be seen or understood can be far from terrifying than what is visible. Across the Indian subcontinent, the Vatel, a spirit that inhabited corpses, taught lessons of morality, intelligence, and wit. These beings, often grotesque in appearance, challenged kings and heroes with riddles and tests, forcing humans to think, reason, and make decisions under pressure. Unlike simple predator, the Vatela forced engagement with intellect and fear stimulously. Its darkness was not only physical but psychological, representing the unknown capabilities of life after death and the ethical dilemmas humans must navigate. Even in Africa, the deserts and caves of ancient civilizations were believed and harbor creatures older than memory. Some guarded treasures, others punished hubris. The grotesque and monstrous fusion of elephant and serpent was said to reside deep children was said to reside deep in hidden diamonds caves, consuming those foolish enough to enter. Here again, darkness served a dual purpose. It was both a literal danger and symbolic lesson about greed and respect for nature's balance. What is remarkable about these creatures this is how universally they appear across cultures. While the specific form differ, some with wings, others with claws, some skeletal, others fluid or amorphous, the roles they played are strangely similar. They embody fear, uncertainty, and the boundaries of human understanding. In almost every culture, there are creatures that enforces moral or societal rules. One that represents natural disasters, or one that challenges human intellect and courage. This suggests that fear of the unknown is a universal human experience, and storytelling has always been a way to make sense of it. And yet, history has tendency to forget these beings as religious solidified, empires laws, and cultures evolved. Many of these dark creatures were either absorbed into other stories or deliberately erased. A spirit once feared and bringer of death could be transformed into a demon or minor villain, stripped of its original context and meaning. Texts were lost, oral traditions died, and with them the nuanced understanding of these beings faded. What remains fragments, brief mentions and manuscripts, scattered carvings on temple walls, or fleeting references in old folk songs. Scholars and historians often have to reconstruct entire brief systems from these fragments, attempting to discern or rule these creatures once preyed in the spiritual and cultural lives of their people. This erasure, however, does not mean these creatures have vanished entirely. Their shadows persist in folklore, in the lingering fear of what lurks beyond, and in the modern horror that draws on their forms of stories. Creatures like vampire, the werewolf, and even zombies, which dominate popular culture today, often trace their roots back to these forgotten beings. Their darkness has been reinterpreted, but the core fear remains humanity's confrontation with forces beyond its control. Why did these creatures matter so much to ancient societies? Because they offered explanations where science could not. They were cautionary tales, philosophical puzzles, and symbolic embodiments of humanity's most primal fears. They reminded humans that the world is larger, stranger, and more dangerous than every bad life might suggest. In many ways, these creatures were teachers, disgusted, disguised and monsters, guiding behavior, enforcing norms, and shaping moral and social fabric of entire civilizations. As we begin this journey into forgotten mythologies, it becomes clear that these dark creatures were never just figments of imaginations. They were mirrors reflecting the unknown, shadows cast by humans' fear and curiosity. They were and remain reminders that the world is full of mysteries and cannot be tamed, controlled, or easily forgotten. And though History maybe have tried to erase them. The stories survive, waiting for these brave enough to uncover them. Because when we look closely, we discover that these creatures were not only terrifying, they were profound, instructive, and deeply human. They were embodiment of our ancestors' fears, our collective nightmares, and perhaps even warning to us today. Some things once forgotten are never truly gone. Let us dive in chapter 2. Chapter 2, the Aswang, the shape-shifting terror of the Philippines. In the heart of the Philippine archipelago, where dense jungles meet quiet villages, there exists a legend that has haunted generations. The Aswang, unlike the more familiar monsters of Western folklore, the Aswang is not defined solely by brute strength or grotesque of waste of appearance. Its terror lies its cunning, its ability to hide in plain sight, and its insidious hunger. The centuries, the shape-shifting creature has been both warning and fascination, a reminder of the vulnerability of humans when darkness falls. A swang is not a single being, but a category of malevolent creatures. Some are girls who feast on human flesh. Others are witches who wield dark magic, and still others are vampires, preying on blood or like force. During the day, the aswang appears harmless, often indistinguishable from any ordinary villager. They live among communities, attending markets, festivals, and celebrations, blending seamlessly into human society. But when night descends, the true horror of the aswang is revealed. At night, the aswang transforms. Legends describe its shedding its human form to become a monstrous version of itself. Some versions take the shape of animals, dogs, pigs, birds, even bats. Others detach parts of their bodies, like their upper torsos, which sprout wings and fly silently across the villages. Their movements are swift, silent, and deliberate, designed to strike fear and confusion. It's said that the aswang can mimic voices, calling out of the names of the loved ones to lure victims away from the safety. Parents have long told their children that the wandering at night could mean meeting the aswang, ensuring that caution became a matter of survival. The most feared aspect of the swang, however, its predation on the most vulnerable pregnant women and newborns. Using a long arrow tongue, the creature is said to reach into the womb and steal life from unborn children. In some regions, it's believed the aswang's bite or touch could, could drain life, leaving victims weak, sick, or even dead. Such terrifying tales were not merely superstition. They were early ways of explaining strategic events such as infant mortality, disease, and explained illness in rural communities. Throughout history, communities developed elaborate methods to detect or repel the aswang. Garlic, salt, vinegar, and religious objects were all believed to reveal or ward off these creatures. Some villagers would even place rice, sand, or sharp objects around their homes, believing that aswangs were compelled to count every grain or object, giving humans time to escape. In certain provinces, rituals and prayers were conducted and protect families. The stories of the Aswang are not uniform. They were by they were varied by region, reflecting the diversity of the Philippine Islands. In some areas, the creatures is, dep- is depicted the creature is depicted as more vampiric, drinking the blood of its victims, while in others it is gorish monster consuming flesh. Yet all variations share common traits: deceit, cunning, and ability to transform. This adaptability in folklore mirrors the way humans have historically sought to explain the inexplicable. A disease might be blamed one kind of aswang, in a disappearance on other, and a bad harvest on yet another, illustrating the creature's symbolic role as a scapegoat for the uncontrollable forces of life. Interestingly, belief in the aswang persists even in modern times. While urbanization, education, and science have diminished the literal fear of the creature in many areas, stories of encounters still surface in remote villages. In some cases, people report mysterious lights in the forest, unexplained illness, or the sensation of being watched at night. Anthropologists studying Philippine folklore note that these tales persist not because of actual sightings, but because the aswang embodies deep-seated fears: the unknown, the visible, and the controllable aspects of nature and human behavior. The Aswang also reflects broader human psychology. It represents what fear the most, that danger can hide behind familiar faces, that evil may walk unnoticed among us, and that the things we cannot see are often the most dangerous. Its stories serve as cautionary tales, but they are also cultural mirrors, revealing the values, fears, and beliefs of the communities that told them. Its stories serve as a cautionary tales, but they were also cultural mirrors, revealing the values, fears, and beliefs of the communities that told them. In this way, the Aswang is more than a monster. It is a symbol of vigorance, morality, and then thin line between the safe and the dangerous. By studying the Aswang, we gain insight not only into Philippine culture, but also into the universal human experience. Across the globe, societies have told stories of shifting predators, deceptive spirits, and beings that prey upon the innocent. What makes the Aswang unique? Its combination of human like cunning and supernatural power. Its ability to adapt into its environment and the way it continues to haunt collective imagination centuries after the first stories were told. The Aswang is a reminder that all that not all monsters live in the shadows of imaginations alone. Some linger in the spaces between fear and reality, shaping how communities perceive the world, the unknown, and even each other. And while many of us may never see such creatures, they embody remain relevant. Vigilance, respect for the unknown, and awareness that the civil can sometimes wear the most familiar faces. Chapter 3. Chapter 3, The Necklace, Scotland's Skinless Nightmare. On the storm-lashed islands of northern Scotland, tales of a monstrous creature have persisted in centuries, so horrifying that even speaking its name was said to invite misfortune. This was the Necklace, a beast unlike any other in Europe folklore. Feared for its sheer grotesqueness and the destructive power it brought with it. Unlike more familiar mythological creatures, the Necklace was not a spirit that haunted shadows from or a distance, nor a cunning trickster preying on the unsuspecting. It was a physical nightmare, a, a grotesque fusion of horse and human, with no skin and a power so terrifying it was believed to cause drought, disease, and death wherever it roamed. Descriptions of the Necklace are chilling in their detail. Its body resembled a massive horse, but where the skin should have been, black, glistening muscles and raw sinews were visible, pulsing with veins of yellow and green. From its back rose a human torso, grotesquely attached and equally skinless, with a gaping mouth and emitted a fetid breath said to wilt crops and skin livestock. The human torso had long, clawed arms capable of striking with the precision and deadly force. Its eyes glowed with a malevolent light, piercing the night and precision and deadly force. This was not a creature of imagination, it was, it was a tangible horror, so rare in folklore that villagers went into extraordinary lengths to protect themselves. The Nakalavi's origins, like its form, are shrouded in mystery. Folklorists believe it's one of the oldest supernatural entities in Scottish mythology, a remnant of pre-Christian beliefs in natural spirits, demons, and the dangers of untamed lands. Unlike benevolent spirits or guardian deities, the Nakalevi embodied the raw and the destructive forces of nature. Storms, disease, and famine were blamed, not its appearance, it, as if the creature itself carried the chaos of the elements where it went. Some stories even describe the Nakalavi as a arising from the sea, storms galloping into the land with waves crashing around it, leaving death and devastation in its wake. Islanders in the Orkney and Shetland archipelagos developed elaborate methods of survival in a response of the Nakalavi. Water in a particular was believed to be greatest weakness. While it could gallop across land with unmatched speed, the Nakalevi could not cross running water. Streams, rivers, and wells became natural defenses, and villages often built homes and communal areas near fresh water as a form of protection. In some accounts, entire communities would take refuge across small rivers during the storm, trusting that the current would hold back into monstrous being. The fear of the Nakaravi also influenced social and cultural behavior. Children were warned not to stray near the cliffs or near the sea during the storms, as legends claimed the creature could emerge suddenly from the waves. Farmers took care of maintain Farmers took care to maintain their livestock, crossed safe areas, and festivals or gatherings and often included rituals meant to appease or distract the creature. While the practices might seem suspicious today, they served a practical purpose in reinforcing community cohesion and respect for natural forces that were otherwise uncontrollable. The Nakaravi was a not alone predator in a way a wolf or a vampire might be. It symbolized the unavoidable presence of destruction, an external force that could strike indiscriminately. Unlike other mythical beings, it did not require provocation, nor could it be negotiated with. Its presence, its presence itself was a warning or a manifestation of nature's indifference to human life. Crops could fail, herds could die, and illness could spread, all blamed on the passing of the skinless horror. In a time before scientific understanding of disease or climate, the Nakalavi became a tangible explanation of for misfortune, helping humans to conceptualize events that they could not otherwise understand. Yet, there is an almost tragic aspect of the Nakalavi as a creature of folklore. It preserves the memory of the relationship between humans and the world, and uncontrollable forces surrounding them. The monstrous host human hybrid reflects humans' attempt to give form to chaos. They embody danger in a shape that could be feared and respected. It's, it is a story of survival, warning, and acknowledgement of vulnerability. Ancient communities recognized that some threats cannot be defeated, only understood, respected, and avoided. Even today, a chaos of anaclavi persists. Though modernity has tamed much of the fear that once gripped island communities, the stories survive in local legends, ghost towers, and folklore collections. Artists where writers continue to depict the Nekalavi as the ultimate nightmarish creature, a reminder that some myths are not simply tales, but reflections of the humanity's ongoing struggle with forces beyond its control. The raw terror it embodies is universal, transcending time and geography. Its story resonates because it mirrors our own fears. The unpredictability of nature, the fragility of life, and the presence of forces we can neither see nor control. The Nakalavi is in many ways the embodiment of forgotten nightmares, an ancient warning preserved in myth, unlike other creatures that may be tamed, negotiated with, or outwitted. The Nakalavi reminds that some dangers are absolute, relentless, and indifferent. Its skinless form, grotesque fusion of horse and human, and lethal presence are not just symbols or horrors. They are mirrors of the fear, respect, and humanity and humility humans have long felt in the face of nature's immense and often violent power. As we have seen, the dark creatures of forgotten mythologies were far more than simple monsters. They were reflections of ancient fears, mysteries, and the unknown forces people once believed shaped their world. Even though these legends are centuries old, their stories still echo through folklore, culture, and imagination today. If you have enjoyed uncovering these forgotten legends, make sure to like the video, subscribe for more fascinating mythology and mysterious stories. Thank you for watching. See you into the next journey of the unknown.